Pop quiz. Who is the oldest person in the Bible? Answer in 3, 2, 1. Enoch. Yes, well remembered. You know, for not being mentioned that often in the Bible, I think there's still more we can say from his example and from Hebrews 11 verses 5 and 6. Let's remember what these verses say. Hebrews 11 verse 5 and 6 tell us that by faith Enoch was taken from this life, so that he did not experience death. He could not be found because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. That's a cheesy transition. Yesterday, we talked a lot about Enoch, but that's not the only character to consider from these two verses. The two verses in Hebrews 11 are about Enoch and God, the two of them in lockstep walking together. We mentioned that Enoch was walking by faith, and that walking by faith requires trusting God with the destination and the route as he works with us on the pace. Verse 6 helps shape what this looks like. This verse tells us that if we are to walk with God, if we are to come to him, we must first believe that he exists. At one level, this seems a pretty low bar. Now, I can imagine a lot of things existing without too much worry. I could assume the existence of habitable planets outside our solar system, or tiny organisms that make me sick. I've never seen either of these, and the one doesn't affect me at all, and the other I do my best to avoid, even though I can't see it. And it's tempting to think that believing in God's existence is like believing in other planets that can sustain life. Could be true, it'd be nice if it was true, but they're a long way off and have no real effect on how I live my life today. But in reality, believing that God exists should be treated a lot more like believing in bacteria and viruses. We ignore their existence at the risk of our comfort, if not our very lives. God's existence means that there is a purposeful creator who knows about us. And that's where the second part of walking by faith comes in. We believe in God's existence and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. The author doesn't say those who perfectly seek him or those who find him. And that's a big relief. If we had to live perfectly, or if God didn't act until we were there with him, his existence would only drive us mad with fear, or anger, or depression. Instead, walking by faith means believing that God will walk with us and reward even our faltering efforts to keep up. The other night, I was talking with a group of friends, and we started to discuss something quite similar to this. The question was asked, why do we keep praying and yet keep struggling with sin? You know, if we live by faith one second, why doesn't God stop us from sinning the next? The answer is that faith and obedience are part of this walk with God. The walk of faith is not easy. It's not something we can just sort of set out to do and then go on autopilot. But God cares for us. He cares for us both wanting to walk with us and also wanting us to walk with him. That's what's pleasing to God when we walk with him. And it's worth it. It's worth it because of this great eternal hope of heaven, the destination we're going to. And it's also worth it because God is present with us now. God is really present with us and smiles at us now when we act in faith. I long for that smile, that reminder that God is with me and that I am with God. And yet, I often get distracted and run in the opposite direction. And so I need to remember that I need God every hour and that he is always there to help me. So if you're sharing that longing this Advent, take time today to talk with God about it, to come back to God and pray. Spend time thinking about these verses from Hebrews 11 and consider how God has provided his presence every moment and every hour.